So, welcome everyone. Today, I am so thrilled to be here with Umang Bedi, co founder of Vuse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Kim, it's an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, it is my pleasure, and I have some great questions for you. So, why don't we dive right in?
Look forward.
All right, Umang, to say the least, you have had an absolute incredible journey running some of the biggest tech platforms in India. And you've made this bold shift into entrepreneurship at Versailles, which we were just
Yeah.
chatting about. So, what sparked that move, and how do you see your work today shaping India's digital future?
Thank you, Kim. I think, the foundation that I got working with big tech across Sun Microsystems, where I started, to Intuit and Adobe, and then Meta, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, those were amazing journeys.
Yeah, little companies, right? Small
No.
companies.
I think I was privileged early on to get some of these jobs early. And I spent a decade and a half or nearly 2 decades, running some of these businesses across India and the region. But there was the spark that I wasn't really creating because India was going through this metamorphical shift in terms of the internet adoption.
Mhm.
And when you saw what was happening in China, right? Like China, India was about 10 years to 15 years behind
Wow.
China. And China was at a point a couple of years ago of about $8,000 to $9,000 GDP per capita when things just took off. And I think the inspiration there was this company called ByteDance.
Heard of them,
You've heard of them,
yeah.
right? Well, they were a little company back then, and they had an app called Totiao, which is a news app which means headlines today in
Mhm.
English. And so we kind of felt that there is this massive audience in India, 1.5 billion people. 80 to 90% of them are local language audiences. The internet was not democratized because
Mhm.
content was predominantly in English. And so, when, Nelson Mandela said that if you can talk to a man in a language that he understands, it goes to his head. But if you can talk to him in his language, it goes to his heart, right? And so,
I
with
love
that
that.
inspiration, we felt that let's go down this mission of building and creating the ByteDance of India. I'll say three things. One, best decision of my life. It's been the most humbling journey because as an entrepreneur, you got to worry about keeping the lights on, paying the bills, raising capital, all of that good stuff, which
Innovating.
innovating, which large companies give you that little
Yeah.
foundation where you don't have to worry about these brilliant basics. Two, I would say it's not for the faint-hearted, especially doing it in India where there's madness and chaos, yet a lot of opportunity. And three, with all humility to the 20 years of the great foundational experience across some of these best tech companies that I worked with, I wish I'd done it 10 years earlier. I'd be younger and have a lot more energy to go about, continuing to innovate as we go forward.
Those are incredible, incredible tips. I love hearing about your journey and your
Thank you.
inspiration. And I don't know, I think everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah.
I think you probably started this exactly when you were supposed
Well, in India we say inshallah to that, which is amen.
to. I couldn't agree more. All right. It has been also great to see our relationship has grown from those early days as a customer to now becoming a very strategic partner through Quark to Akamai.
Yeah.
So I'd love you to walk us through that journey. What were some of those key moments or shifts that deepened our partnership? And how has it influenced your business and growing along the way?
So I think the biggest compliment, in all honesty, that I can give you is through this journey of over a decade, we've had multiple partners across our infrastructure, across our compute, across our cloud, across our data centers. But if there was one partner that we had continuously for over this decade in this journey, it's been Akamai. And it started off with a very nuanced use case because we were serving local language audiences.
Mhm.
These came from tier two, tier three, tier four cities, rural India. Internet connectivity was not great. So the only thing that we wanted Akamai to solve for is reliability, uptime, and deliver a consumer experience on any varied Android device, because customers came from low-end devices to high-end devices, from low data networks to mid-end
Right.
data networks. And so it started off with this very simple one problem to solve,
And an
right?
important problem to
And a
solve.
very important problem to solve, right? I think over time, what happened was we had our Super Bowl moments, or our, in India we call it the Cricket World
Yeah.
Cup moments. But in our business, that relates to crazy news cycles. So
Mm-hmm.
think about the 2014 elections, the 2019
Mm-hmm.
elections, the Man Ki Baat, which is Prime Minister Modi's initiative here. We launched a poll which was called Daily Hunt Trust of the Nation, that had about 8 million responses, turned out to be the largest poll in the history of mankind on predicting who would win the elections in
Interesting.
2019. And so those are moments where you see crazy traffic spikes.
Sure
And
do.
the fact that your team was around, and I want to call this out, that the local team brought in, over time, I think the one word that developed was trust, wherein they understood our business. So it wasn't like I'm selling you something. The two teams sat together. They understood our requirements. They understood our business. They understood the operating environment of the networks and the latencies and everything that we were dealing with. And that really catalyzed growth. The other thing that happened during this journey, while these moments came in, is I would say that trust transformed into two teams sitting together to share best practices,
Mm-hmm.
right? There were learnings that Akamai got from our environment. There were
For
huge
sure.
amount of learnings that Akamai shared with us from both developed markets and emerging markets. And that was very, very critical. Now, during this crazy phase of growth, we burnt a lot of capital, but we raised a lot of capital as well. And as the company grows, you want to take it to being profitable. And so in one of those endeavors, our tech team internally had built a lot of internal tech, which was pretty darn awesome. And we were like, hey, a lot of this expertise is on Akamai,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why don't we offer this as solutions to other customers? Because
Mm-hmm.
you want to convert your cost center to a profit center,
For sure.
essentially, right? And so that's how Quark was formed. And the journey with Akamai just scaled because it went from starting as a vendor or a partner to building trust to sitting on the same side of the table of understanding of the business to scaling and transforming through these peak moments to saying, hey, we've developed a lot of mutual expertise. Can we partner? And I think it's a beautiful journey. When you think about it, there are not too many. It's almost like I've been married. I've known my wife ever since we were in kindergarten, so it's a
Oh my
special
goodness.
relationship.
I'd
Um,
say.
and I would say if I had to think about a business partner with the same equivalence, it would be Akamai, because that's what you guys have stood for us in our journey.
Well, I think you encapsulated what a beautiful journey together. And, we are so grateful to have you as a customer and a partner. And I love that it's anchored on trust,
Yeah.
shared goals, and, reliability and scale is what we do best. And it's just a privilege to do that alongside you.
Likewise, the feeling is mutual.
Oh, great. That's probably one of the best overviews I've heard of a partnership. Thank you so much for that, Umang.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn, and this is one of my favorite fun questions
Okay.
as a CMO. So I am always eager to understand what gets somebody's attention. So in this crowded tech market space, and
Yeah.
you talked about it a lot, and India is massively targeted. What grabs your attention? What breaks through to you? What advice do you have for marketers around the globe trying to break through?
So for us, I'll say two things. They're very oxymoronish in terms of my framing.
This
But
is going to be good then.
yeah, it's going to be good, hopefully. The often, so today we're in this journey that anything that helps us save cost and
Mhm.
make more money, generating EBITDA and free cash flows is what we welcome, right? So anything that's in that realm,
It's a
right?
good mix.
It's a good mix,
Yeah.
right? However, I think as with scars on our back, I tend to trust marketing messages with a pinch of salt, right? So the
Fair
proof,
point.
fair
Fair
point,
point.
right? The proof point's in the delivery. If the message is around helping save money or make money, then there should be some very quick proof points.
Hmm.
And I think that's what breaks through the clutter. If you can prove it with a short pilot or a quick POC, something that's lightweight,
Yeah.
and substantiate, add weight to that claim, I think it just breaks through all the clutter. That's the moment of truth.
Well, I think that's a powerful moment of truth. So proof points,
Yeah,
claims, and really fulfill on your promise, right?
exactly.
That it's really about delivering on that experience and our commitment. Okay, you heard it here first. That is some sound advice,
Yeah,
Umang.
thank
I
you.
know I'm making notes. I'm almost embarrassed that we've got to the fourth question and I haven't brought up this little word AI.
Yeah,
So let's talk AI. It is such a big part of every conversation
yeah.
we have right now, and I'm actually shocked we didn't get to it yet. So, when you think about where it fits into your business, and I'm sure you're thinking about it all the time, what are the biggest opportunities you're focused on with AI? Are you looking to enhance your customer experiences, drive internal efficiencies, rethink and reimagine roles, all of the aboves? How are you wrangling and wrestling with AI
I think
today?
all of the above.
Yeah.
We invested in AI back in 2018
Hmm.
when it wasn't such a thing. But basically, we built out using reinforcement learning models, a recommendation engine
Sure.
around what content to show next,
Yeah.
right?
Perfect use
And
case.
drive personalization.
Hmm.
We then extended it to understanding of content because we ingest all the content onto our platforms.
Hmm.
And so, understanding content and context across text, images, video, audio, across
Hmm.
multiple languages, right? So we developed language-based models to do that, and we found that our accuracy was far higher than some of the other models that were out there. So we've been doing that for a living because that's our bread and butter.
Hmm.
But the world has got transformed with generative AI, right?
Hmm.
And now where we are is we've developed tools and technologies for enhancing efficiency of creating creative on the fly or
Hmm. Sure.
marketing solutions for our
Hmm.
customers or ads, videos, all
Sure.
using AI. And that's kind of brought in a lot of efficiency. We've added a lot of layers around our internal tools of how we work in
Sure.
terms of analysis on the business and business intelligence.
Hmm.
But I think we're still scratching the surface because if you believe
Yeah.
that, whether it's Ray Dalio or whoever else, that AGI is around the corner,
Hmm.
then I think we're up for a disruption that is going to be so big that
Couldn't agree more.
it's going to disrupt everything. And so I always think about the fact that, the way we consume content and news, and I may not even need an app in the future. I may have agents, connected to smart glasses or some interface,
Yeah.
or BCI in some days in
Hmm.
terms of brain-computer interface, where I'll be able to fire off those agents to get that content for me. And so I think we are going to see the single biggest transformation. If you think about what electricity and mobile data did,
Hmm.
what the iPhone did in 2007 or electricity did back in the 1900s or late 1800s, I think this disruption or transformation is going to be 100x
Yeah.
of both combined, right?
Couldn't agree more.
When AGI happens. And so I think we got to constantly keep innovating for that moment, else we may not exist
I couldn't
as
agree
a
more.
company.
Yeah, we have to harness it and
Totally.
not let us run it over and just lean in and embrace it. It is absolutely the biggest disruption the world has seen in a long time. And it's exciting at the same
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrifying and exciting
Exciting.
equally. All right, Umang, I'm back to being sad. You know why? I'm
Why?
at my last question.
Okay.
But this is going to be a good one. So, to wrap it up and for everybody to get to know you just a little bit better,
Okay.
given your amazing career journey, what is the best career experience you have ever received?
So I think one which is a little cliched, but I'd still like to mention it, is just never, ever, ever, ever give up. If you believe in an idea and you have data points and it keeps you up at night, then go pursue it no matter what the world thinks about it, right? No matter what your investors or your board think about it, or if you think that's going to solve a real problem, go pursue it passionately. But I think on the flip side, as organizations get bigger, we get far more distanced from the reality on the ground. And the youngest employees have the closest connection with customers. And I think the learning that I learned early on was integrity without compromise. And I'll just try and substantiate what without compromise means. We always equate integrity with values around being fair, being honest, being clear in our financial transactions, but that's not just what integrity is. To me, if I'm a young employee in a company and I'm sitting in front of Kim, the CMO or the CEO, and Kim's going down a certain path, and I think it's the wrong path for the company, I have two options: speak up or don't, right? Now, I could respectfully speak up and disagree with Kim's point of view if I have data to believe that it's not accurate. But not speaking up is an integrity issue
Couldn't agree more.
right? Because you have insights into something that Umang or Kim don't have, where they're not connected on the ground every day, every minute with customers, right?
And that's a gift.
And that's a gift,
that
right?
insight, yeah.
That insight's a gift. And so integrity without compromise, in my mind, is speaking up no matter what the situation, who the personality in front of you. If that's the right thing for the company and the business, do it respectfully, but do it, right? It's so important to do. And sometimes we get intimidated by far more senior people in the room or personalities, but the decisions that the company can make, and we've seen so many companies in tech come and go, right? Like, just think about it.
So many.
The average lifespan of a company on S&P is 15 years. It's scary.
I know. It is so scary.
It is scary, right? And it's all thanks to poor decisions made by individuals who were empowered, who thought they were doing the right thing. No one made those decisions to fail, right? But those were not informed by insights on the ground that came from younger audiences. And so it's really distinguishing about the old power versus new power. The new power is like a current. It has to flow across the organization, and people need to speak up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, for me, in one framing, is integrity without compromise. And I listen to everyone, no matter where it comes from, an email or a text message or a phone call. You just have to be aware that, are you making the right decisions? And very often we're blindsided by our own beliefs and truths, right? And so I'll just pause there, but that's what I would say.
Oh, I love that. I couldn't agree with you more, too. I think the best ideas come from every corner of the organization.
Absolutely.
I love to do listening sessions, and you're right, it is a tragedy not to speak up, right? Because you have to have that conviction and belief in a company. So there you have it: integrity without compromise and never giving up from the entrepreneur extraordinaire. I think those are two very wise pieces of wisdom that I'm so glad you shared with everyone. And Umang, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I just loved our conversation. I could speak to you for hours. So I want to thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. And I want to thank everybody listening for the privilege of your time.
Oh, likewise, Kim. The feeling is mutual. Loved the conversation. Saddened that it has ended, but just a big thank you from Verse and my team to the entire Akamai team for all their support, partnership, and really being on my side of the table right through this journey.
It is a privilege to call you our partner and our customer. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, Kim. Thanks a lot.